Can you hear me? Can you see? Comment? All good? We are walking. I'm hoping we're not gonna have the errors we had last week. We are walking to today's Roman Station Church, which is Santa Pudenziana. We just got a rain, which I didn't realize because it was cloudy all morning. Sun just came out a little bit. It's partly cloudy now. But my classroom I was in, we can't really, there's no windows really to the outside, but walked out and sky had cleared up, just leaving the Angelicum. Let me see. We are going to the oldest church in Rome, which can be debated, but basically what that means is we are walking to the church where Pope St. Peter, the first Pope, good. I'm glad it works. I'm glad there's no problem. I don't know what the problem is. The only thing that could happen is, for some reason, in this area around the Angelicum, I keep getting radio interference on my Bluetooth headphones that I'm using. So, which is weird. That's what happened a couple weeks ago when we were walking to San Pietro in Zupoli. Today we're going to another church related to St. Peter, which is Santa Pudenziana. Santa Pudenziana was a daughter of a senator, Senator Pudens, and actually was the sister of Santa Prassede. So there's another church which we go to, I think it's the Monday of Holy Week, we go to Santa Prassede, which if you've been to Rome, you've probably visited there. It's where the pillar, a piece of the pillar, which Christ, sorry, it's kind of loud with all these cars, a piece of the pillar upon which Christ was scourged, which was brought back, obviously, by St. Helen, Emperor Constantine's mother. So we're going to this church of Santa Pudenziana, and I make a joke. The joke was in the thumbnail. And keep this site in mind. Today they've been working on this, on fixing these San Pietrini, and I'll mention that in a little bit. But I make a joke that at the church of Santa Pudenziana, you can see the altar cards which St. Peter used. Obviously, St. Peter did not use altar cards. Altar cards, if you don't know, are the Carta Gloria, are the cards that you see on the altar for the traditional Mass. And the reason why St. Peter didn't use it is because he was a bishop and they don't use them. No, that's another joke. A bad joke, a bad dad liturgical joke, and I'm not even a dad. But the point is, what you can see at Santa Pudenziana is relic of the altar upon which St. Peter celebrated Mass. Because it was a house church. I'll have to do a particular video in the future on this phenomenon in Rome of house churches, because it was it was very convertible from sort of an old villa, especially these senator villas, which had these, different rooms. One would have been for catechesis, one was for baptism, one was for the sacred mysteries of the liturgy. And this is where St. Peter lived. He was a guest of Senator Pudens, the house of Senator Pudens. And there's also in this church a well in which Santa Pudenziana and Santa Prassede, these two sisters, the daughters of Senator Pudens, they kept possession of the relics of martyrs. They had a great devotion to the early Christian martyrs, which, I mean, they were living at the time that all these were all these Christians were being martyred. And so they took it upon themselves this custody of protecting and giving reverence to these holy relics of martyrs who, so this is not only one of these, this earliest church, one of the earliest churches in Rome, but for us, for the Roman station churches, because of the significance of martyrdom and the reason why we go from church to church to church. So we have this example of Santa Pudenziana, who had this devotion along with her sister to the martyrs. And what else can I say? So then, after the legalization of Christianity, which happened with the Edict of Milan by Emperor Constantine in the year 313, churches were able to be built in Rome. And so that's why someone on the Instagram live mentioned other churches. But it was already from the start of the already from the start of the 5th century, so the early 400s, that this church, the actual church, was there. But as a house church, we can say in Rome, this was the Church of St. Peter. It was cold all day. I was actually hoping it would stay cold. A little bit chilly. Woke up this morning to cloudy weather, and it's just been sort of gloomy in Rome. But it's nice. It's been quite warm and humid. So the church that we're walking to, right now you can see in the background St. Mary Major, and we're passing San Lorenzo and Panisperna, which you can see it's closed, like always, except for the day that it opens for the Roman Station Church Mass. On the sidewalk so I don't get hurt. But we're going to a church which just sits in the shadow of Santa Maria Maggiore, St. Mary Major. Sits on the Esquiline Hill. Actually, I forgot how close it is. It's right here. So this is the back of the church. So we'll walk to the back of the church and then walk around the block. It's just a very beautiful church. And it's going to be closed. The rumor is 1 to 3 years that it's going to be closed. So I'm happy to take you there. If it's not disruptive to anyone, I'll go inside the church and show you some more. And then, so what's happening, I came live today because I'll post the church of Santa Pudenziana tomorrow, because it's very complicated, because tomorrow we go to San Sisto, and San Sisto is rarely open. It's not really open. I could have planned ahead, and I could have contacted the Dominican to contact the Dominican nuns who are there, but in general, the church is not open to the general public. So I'll just film tomorrow, because also we usually don't go to this church. We usually go to the church across the street, and the Oratorian priests have charge of that church, so they would usually be celebrating that liturgy. So tried getting there last year. Yeah, I didn't see all your comments, but so the Oratorians usually celebrate that Mass. I don't know who's celebrating the Mass tomorrow. Last night, as you saw, at the end of the video, I put some video of the Mass from last night, and Cardinal De Donatis, who's the Vicar General of Rome, came and celebrated, because a cross had been found by the Carabinieri, one of the police in Italy, had been found, which was stolen from yesterday's Roman Station Church, which is San Marco. And so it was found and restored and returned to the church. So here we are, the back of Santa Pudenziana. What's beautiful here is we also find, one last thing. First, a beautiful bell tower. it's interesting. So you'll see when we walk around the block, you'll see that we go down some steps to enter the church. So tomorrow I'll share this video, and then I'll share San Sisto on Saturday because another church is closed this week that hasn't been open for years, Santa Susana, which is the station church on Saturday. So I'll displace these videos and just give them, hi Katerina, I'll displace these videos and just provide them later in the week. So let's walk around the block and I'll tell you a little bit about the Mosaic. So it was, as I said, the early church that was here was a house church and it was the residence of a senator. And so you see signs of this and you see sort of the themes carried through into the apse mosaic, which the apse mosaic is from also the 5th century, the beginning of the 5th century. I'm not sure if it's 410 or 416. I'm doubting because what we find first is we find Christ in and the apostles in senatorial garb. And in this, Christ alone has a halo. The apostles don't have halos in this one. And then we find symbols of the 4 evangelists. And we find 2 women. And the women could be Santa Pudenziana and Santa Presere, the 2 sisters that I spoke about at the beginning, who were the daughters of Senator Pudens. Here's the back of Santa Maria Maggiore. And or these 2 women could represent the church of the Jews and the church of the Gentiles. So those who Peter preached to and those who Paul preached to. The Jews who had formed the nascent church, formed of course by Christ's invitation, and then the Gentiles who Paul was specifically sort of inspired to preach to as the apostle to the Gentiles. So it could represent the 2 daughters, or it could represent these 2 in feminine form, the 2 churches. And these 2 women are giving to Christ a wreath of crown, or crown of wreath, I don't know how you say it, as a sign of imperial reverence to Christ, who we know is King of the universe. So here we are, we're just coming up to the front of the church. Beautiful sort of gate to walk through. The sun's always beautiful in the evening. Stand back a bit and not get run over. So it's going to be closed for a little bit. A beautiful facade, beautiful bell tower. The clouds were like this last year too, I think. Let's go downstairs. What else can I say? Oh, we also find a jeweled cross. And this jeweled, the reason why I doubt the date of the date of the mosaic is because this jeweled cross is said to be inspired by a cross with which Emperor Theodosius desired to put on Calvary, a jeweled cross to give, and he wanted to do that in the year 416. So I'm wondering if this was inspired from that or gave inspiration the other way around. But nonetheless, the mosaic comes from the early 5th century. Yeah, it's just really, I don't know what work they have to do. I mean, the church has to be cleaned, but I don't know what else. It's the National Filipino Church in Rome, but it's just a beautiful facade. So I don't know what they're going to do in the restoration. Let's go inside. There's relics on the altar. I'll show you the mosaic, and then I won't say much because I just explained it. Sorry, back. But it's back there, and I'll show it. It's on the YouTube video that's coming tomorrow, where you find within that altar is a relic of the altar where Saint Peter celebrated Mass when this was a house church. Let's see. Can you hear me still? That's the risk of going inside churches, because you always lose cell service. Good. So I'll sign off now, but okay, good, thanks. Yeah, what did you hear? Yes, we can hear you. What did you say about St. Peter? Oh, so in that back room, I don't know what you saw, but so when you enter the high altar, then I went that way, and behind there is an altar where you see Christ giving the keys to Peter, and it's there in that altar where you have a relic of the altar upon which St. Peter celebrated Mass. But there'll be more about that and the images and everything that you'll see in the YouTube video, which is coming tomorrow. So, I wanted to say, let me go up here, get a different angle. I'm really grateful. I just wanted to say, this morning I woke up to 2 super thanks, which are ways of giving support here on YouTube, from Todd and from AJ. So I'm very grateful for those 2 super thanks. And of course, there are many of you who have been supporting me on Patreon, as well as subscribers with the subscriptions on Instagram. So I'm just happy and grateful for all the support, and I'm glad that you find this project, I'm humbled that you find this project worthy to give support. So thank you for that. And of course, special prayers for all of those who provide support that way. And then also, obviously, as I do this whole journey, I pray for all the followers of Crux Stationalis on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and the blog and all that. But this facade is mesmerizing. So you have some beautiful sunlight from Rome, beautiful facade, and then tomorrow I'll see you live on Instagram, and the video will be published. So I will see you tomorrow. God bless.